Well, this year we're going to mark half a century since the Edmund Fitzgerald sank, claiming 29 souls. Now, last week we introduced you to two men who once served aboard the Edmund Fitzgerald, Mike Capser of Northwood and Tom Walton of Sylvania. But for Walton, November 10th, 1975 carries a far deeper meaning. He actually lost a family member that tragic night. Steve Awanek sat down with him to talk about his time on the ship, the loss that stays with him to this very day.
That's you on the Edmund Fitzgerald. How old are you in that picture?
19.
You're 19.
Tom Walton can say he held a summer job few others could. In 1963, the BGSU student applied for work on the Great Lakes, never expecting the call that came next.
Never anticipating to get a call, and certainly never anticipating to be with the flagship of the fleet, the Edmund Fitzgerald, but that's what happened.
For 3 months, Walton worked as a porter, serving meals aboard the Fitzgerald, alongside his father Wade, the ship's chief engineer.
Which was pretty cool, especially when you consider that the chief engineer has wonderfully well-appointed quarters, and porters do not.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was the envy of the galley crew.
All aboard the Queen of the Great Lakes.
It was 729 feet long, which in hindsight, was it too long? That's an argument for another day, but it was the biggest, grandest ship on the Great Lakes.
Over the years, Walton's kept a few mementos from that summer, starting with this.
This is a towel actually off the Fitzgerald.
Wow.
With the name Steamer Edmund Fitzgerald stitched on the end.
And a reminder of what the ship carried, taconite, otherwise known as iron ore.
So they would roll around in rough seas. And when I dropped these, you could tell how heavy they are.
Yeah.
And you can imagine the noise or the force of 26,000 tons of them in the cargo hold, yeah.
Walton's collection also includes commemorative coins and a familiar song.
Without Gordon Lightfoot, would we even be standing here today to talk about this? I don't know, probably maybe not, because that song is what keeps the memory alive.
But one keepsake means the most.
This is a picture of my uncle who died.
Oh, wow. What was his name?
Grant Walton.
Grant, listed as Ralph G. Walton, was one of the 29 crew members lost that night. Walton was in California, watching the news when the report came out.
I knew there weren't many vessels still out there in November. And I knew that in really bad weather, a long vessel with a vulnerable midsection could be especially impacted by that. So before he even said the name of the ship, I feared the worst.
Grant was an oiler, working third shift, deep in the engine room.
It saddens me so much to think of that jolly, jovial guy in that awful moment of terror, knowing what was about to happen when it was too late to do anything about it.
Today, Grant rests in Sycamore, a village south of Tiffin. His grave reads, Grant R. Walton, lost at sea, November 10th, 1975. A date forever etched in Walton's memory.
November 10th is always difficult for me, especially around the dinner hour, because I know exactly what the porters are doing around the dinner hour, and what my dad would have been doing if he'd been aboard, certainly what my uncle was doing. So yeah, as 7 o'clock approaches, all I can think about are the lyrics of the song. So yeah, it weighs on me every year.